Let's have you talk to us more about the kind of investor appetite that you're seeing towards the Dubai's real estate market, and of course the different segments you spoke about, townhouses. Maybe we'll have you talk about what it's like in residential apartments, all of that as well. What it's like, say, post-pandemic.
So we've seen quite interesting trends when it comes to investors, especially foreign investors.
Right.
So one trend, it's very common in the real estate market where, the saying is when the blood is in the streets, is the investors come. So this is when they saw in the May, June timeframe. And this is when a lot of investors came into the market and were buying the affordable units, the studios, the one bedrooms that they can rent and make good ROI on. Another thing that we saw is during the pandemic, developers did not launch any new projects. They continued construction on their current projects and they were like full stream construction, but they did not launch any new projects. Over the last, I would say, 3 months, we're starting to see some of the larger developers launch new phases within projects that are already under construction, especially in the villa townhouse sector. And these have sold out within hours. So you had 2 in the Dubai Land area, and you have a new one that's coming out in the next few weeks that they're looking to launch as well. So I think that, post-pandemic, to define what is actually post-pandemic, as we were talking earlier, could it be now? Could it be, maybe end of year when a lot of people have been vaccinated? Maybe it's actually 2022 when we've had the herd effect come into play and, the virus is dying down. It's really hard to say, especially because Expo 2020 is coming up in October, and now it's going to be a virtual and a live event. So the dynamic of that is going to play into the real estate market. Right. I do know, just from the data, that a lot of investors are looking at the short-term property rental because that's probably most likely due to Expo 2020, where the market is going to gain most ROI until the end of Expo 2020. But I do think as far as prices is concerned, the market will start to stabilize a little bit. We won't see so much increase in certain prime popular areas. Yeah. But there is supply coming into the market. So again, there's so many different factors, to this question. So if you just look at the supply data, we have about 50,000 units that are 70% plus complete as of today that are due to be completed by the end of the year. This will have a significant impact on rental prices as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. For example, if the government comes out and eases the LTV a little bit more, that can spin the market into a different direction. So just have to kind of look at everything and try to figure out what sector you're in, how as an investor you want to, and of course what your strategy is.
Let's have you reflect on what the first quarter has been like and your outlook about Q2 of this year. What do you think that's going to be like?
So Q1, we came in strong, just like we ended 2020. So transaction volume and value have been higher month on month. We did also see a shift when the pandemic started from off-plan to secondary. So over the last, I would say 2.5, 3 years, there was always a 50-50 split between off-plan and secondary number of sales transactions in the market. And then around June, July, that shifted to about 70-30, 70 towards secondary, 30 towards off-plan. We're still seeing that today. We did start to see off-plan sales pick up a little bit over the last month or so, and that's just because of what I said earlier. Developers have launched new phases within existing projects, which have sold out very quickly. So we're starting to see those transfers in the off-plan sector, in the Okud sector, as we call it, come into the market. What do I see coming in the future for 2021? I don't have a future. I don't have a glass ball, but I do personally believe that with Expo 2020 coming to the market, even if it's going to be a hybrid of a virtual and live event, I do see that we are going to have visitors. These visitors are going to need to stay in properties. This is where the short-term properties come into play. So I do see that we will have an increase in transaction volumes, rental rise for short-term properties. I do see investors buying more short-term properties to Airbnb or whatnot. And this is actually something that I'm doing myself. So I'm out in the market buying. So I see what others are buying as well, whether they're investors or end users. I do think the prices will stabilize in the sales sector. When it comes to rentals. As I said before, we have a huge amount of supply coming into the market this year that is expected to be completed this year. So I do continue to see rentals decline, which is not a negative thing. You know, I've seen so many people this year benefit from rental declines and have improved their quality of life by moving into bigger units or moving from apartments to villa townhouses. So prices in the rental sector, prices in the sales sector have always been very inflated in Dubai. I just think that they're coming down to a level that is on par with the rest of the world.
Right. You've painted quite a picture, Lynnette, and it does seem like it's a positive way forward. Now let's switch focus a bit on maybe a little separate note, but definitely very, very significant. Let's have you talk about, diversity and inclusion within your sector. On our part at Construction Week, we've actually seen and heard a lot of female voices as you from within your sector and complementary sectors as well. What's it been like? Have you also seen more positives, say, in the past year? And what are you doing in your capacity to kind of, drive forward drive diversity and inclusion and to strengthen focus on this all the more?
Well, I think when it comes to women in the industry, we've had some quite very strong leaders, and we've had them for years in the market. So some of the top real estate brokerages are ran by women. They were founded by women. The CEOs are the same founders. They're the women. I remember, so we have a Property Finder Awards, and every year we vote on, it was called the boutique brokerage, which is like the medium-sized brokerage. And 99% of them were all female ran, and they always had the best strategy and the most solid business plan, which is why they thrived. And they've been in the market for 10 plus years. And I can speak about more than 15, 20 women in this category. I think during the pandemic, what we started to see is a lot of the women leaders come out more on social media. You know, I found that before they were very much behind the scenes, which is why you really didn't know who they were, or, that they were in fact the CEO or the founder of the company. But a lot of them started to come out more on social media, make more videos, more market awareness, more education on the market. There's one that talks a lot. She talks a lot about, how to run a real estate company and how to enforce sales and how to be a good real estate agent. And then you have another one that talks purely on trends and data and stats and, where properties are selling the most and where you can get the best deals. And I think we saw a lot of that during the pandemic with the women leaders. But it's not just as far as agents or brokers are concerned. You see them in facility management and project management in real estate, in construction, engineering. It's always been a very healthy sector for the females. And also in Property Finder. Over the last year, I would say year and a half, our new chief HR officer, she comes from Pepsi. She was there for over 10 years. She's a woman. I would say about 1/3 of the functional leaders at Property Finder. So these are the director and VP levels. We are females. And we just hired 3 more new functional female leaders into the company. So I think we've had a really good opportunity in the real estate market over the last, I've been here 15 years. So like over the last 15 years from what I have seen, we've had good opportunities, and a lot of strong women have taken those opportunities and made empires here within the real estate industry. So, I still see that growth today.
Wonderful. And I noticed, Lynnette, that you mentioned that this sort of diversity and this focus on more women is spread across, so not just real estate, facilities management, construction, all of that. I would say half in agreement with you, because what we're also talking about is that there is a greater need for more women within, say, construction and more such technical engineering, such roles. Do you see that as well, that, the sector that you belong to, real estate, do you see a greater presence of women workforce there compared to, say, construction, engineering, facilities management, MEP? such technical roles, if I may say so.
Yeah, I do, but I see that changing, especially with the millennials coming into the market. Just like how I see it changing with the techs in our company. So our tech talent, whether they're a front end or a back end developer, or they're product management or UI UX, I'm starting to see a lot of women come into these roles when before it was predominantly millennial male. So I think we're seeing that just across the board here in the region.
Wonderful. That's very positive news. And on that note, thank you very much, Lynnette, for joining me today. It was lovely having you share your insights with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. That was all for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We shall be back soon with another one. Until then, watch the space, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. This is Disha Dadlani. And until next time, goodbye.